Hello. If you watched my last video, you would have seen my projects for 2026, and this is one of the ones that I started to describe to you, or I put in the list of what we were going to work on in 2026. So if you'd like to hang in with me, we're going to get started on this journal today. Now, I call this project Echoes of 1884 because I'll be working from the original book that was published in 1884, and graced in its pages are beautiful, not just pages, but the beautiful tables, maps, charts. Those are statistical charts. There's botanical plates of leaves and blooms and seeds and bugs, if you're into bugs. There's maps in this book. Look, can you see this map? Just beautiful. So I thought we'd take a minute and look at the book, and then we'll start on the cover. But I want all of this to come across and be what I want, not come across, but I want it to engage with the slow, intentional crafting, and I'm calling that slow crafting, similar to how we apply slow stitching to some of our fabric projects. Slow crafting to me means that I'm going to be mindful about what I'm making. I'm going to do it slowly with intention, and I'm going to create something beautiful that at the end I'll just be so happy. These are all going to be, there's not going to be any reproductions in this journal, only the pages that are in this book and or the illustrations. Like I said, there's plates. Look at the font is really beautiful. Look at the tables. There's tables. I was going to see. Actually, here's some more tables. Aren't those just really something? And this book has something special in it too, which I will explain in a moment. But as you can see, it's just full of well, that's a lot of, you know what? I'll go back to the front. But before I go there, I wanted to show you this page here. This is a piece of original tissue over top of a plate. I was trying to see, it has a number on it so I could find the name of it, but I don't want to take that. I don't want to take that off yet, but we'll get to that because I want to use that. But within this book, what I found was a lot of pressed things like this flower. And when it was pressed, it was laid on that page because I can see the outline here. It was laid there. And then pressed in this book. Now, I don't know that this little flower is dated 1884. But the fact that it's in this book and been here, the book has been laying there for such a long time, I'm going to say, I guess, that it's, even if it's not 1884, it's very, very old. You can see on this page, there were some plants that got pressed, some leaves, and so I marked that page as well because I'd like to try and do something with those. And I'll show you later in the process. I've actually gone and preserved some leaves from my yard to see if I could use this same method for the plants that are in this book. I thought that would be pretty cool. And then I would actually be using the plants that are in this book. Look at this. I think that's beautiful. Look at this. I think that's beautiful. Look at these. Just unbelievable, I guess. Unbelievable. There's another flower. And obviously, it looks like some, oh no. You know what? This color on this page, isn't that something? You notice it's not on the other pages. So it's because this paper aged differently, and some of the coloring has made a difference on this particular page of the book. That's interesting. But I've actually looked through some of this book, and it's just amazing, some of the things in it. So I already have some pages marked that I want to use. Look at that beautiful big leaf. Look at that one. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So what is this book, and where does it come from, and why am I even interested in it? Let me show you some of, oh, it just has amazing detail in it. But let me tell you a little bit about the book. Let's flip back to the front, and then we'll take a look at the cover. This book was it's a report from the Commissioner of Agriculture for the year 1884. Now, this was sent, this is interesting too, this was sent to, they actually published 400,000 copies of this report and distributed it. 300,000 copies went for use to the members of the House of Representatives. 70,000 went for use by members of the Senate, and 30,000 copies for the use of the Department of Agriculture. And in that day and age, the sum of $200,000 was appropriated to publish this report. And I can't imagine what those numbers would look like in today's world. But this report is comprised of the commissioner, of course, has oversight on this. And then there was the chemist, the botanist, the chief of the Forestry Bureau, chief of the Bureau of Animal Industry, an entomologist, statistician, and then there's something called Cultivation of Alfalfa by Peter Henderson. And in the beginning of the book, it will tell you about each of these sections, like the Bureau of Botany, the Bureau of Chemistry, the Bureau of, I'm trying to think how I want to, the forestry. And maybe, just maybe, my book has signatures based on each of these sections. That might be a way to address that, but we'll get to that as we move along. So I thought I would introduce you to the book itself. Oh, I'm just in love with these pages. And I have read some of this, and as you can see, it was stitched together, not glued. It was stitched. It is, the whole text block has been, it's so old. It's separated from the cover on the back, but on the front, some of it is still attached. So for today's project, what I thought I would do is, I think I want to use, I'm going to use the cover. I'd like to use this, including the spine, intact, but we'll have to see if we can get that off. So let's go ahead and move right into it. Now, if you have any questions about, oh, there we go, because these are stitched. Sometimes if you can get that thread, you see this thread here, you can get that and pull it off. The signatures will come apart, and also the and you can see how they're bound. My goodness, look at that. Oh, I wanted to show you too. These plates that were found in that were in this book. Let me find one that's just a single. They were bound in the book this way. Now I have taken these out. They were bound in the book this way. Okay, so here was the binding. Because the plate was too big to fit in the book, all they did was fold it up. Now, I don't know. Do we do that in any books today? I don't see too many books. Maybe some with a map or something, but this was really, just surprised me. And some of them that were too long and too wide, they were folded up at the bottom and then in at the side and actually made to fit. This one you can see it's still intact, and where it comes together where it was bound. And this was the same. This page was too big, so they just folded it up, fold it over and said that's a done page. And if you look, that page fits perfectly then within the contents parameters of the book. Isn't that something? Who would have thought? I mean, we do this kind of thing in our journals, but you know, I just found that quite interesting. So let me get a couple of things. I think I'm going to need my utility knife here, my knife. And if you look, let me see if I could set those aside. There we go. This is better. Let me show you the back of the outside of the cover. The outside of the cover is not in desperately bad shape. It's not beautiful by aesthetic means. Aesthetically to the way a new book would look, that's for sure. But I don't want that. Why would I want that? But you can see it's a little worn up here along the top. But basically, the book cover is intact. So I love that. I'm going to use that book cover. And I'm going to have lots of dust. And I did, when I got this book, I did keep it in the freezer for 3 weeks, I think, which should have been plenty long to get rid of any living anything that might have been found on it. I don't know that I want these pages here, which I may have to work to get those, if I'm going to take those off. Let me see. Because it has bubbles in it, I'd like to get that off of there. It's also very bumpy underneath, and I don't know. Came from impressions on the front, so maybe it was sitting on something for a long time. The pages are very fragile, so as far as cutting them off, or we'll have to see as we go with the journal if I can even fold them. Let me take one of these. This is the front page book. Someone's name in 1888. But I'm pretty sure I tested this to be sure I could fold them. I have to be careful of if they're going to crack, I'll have to back them with something. But I want to use the original pages as much as I can. So let's go back to seeing if we can get this off without much ado. Yoy. The other thing, probably going to have to sand this as well, which I won't do that on screen. I'll have to sand it off screen, but just letting you know. Okay. Those pieces off. Yeah, that looks like it's pulling at the actual original, I'm going to call it cardboard underneath there, whatever they used for book covers. Let's see this side if I can get some of that rough stuff off. I just like it to be as smooth as possible before we actually get started putting something on the cover. So I started to read some of this, and it had information about like I said, all of the plants. It has a section on, of course, the little, we find bugs in nature all the time, and there were some bugs and how they affect the crops, and how many crops were actually planted in a year in a certain section of the United States, and also the ones that were affected by this plight that went through, and that what that was going to do to the food source for future years. It's very interesting. So I'm sure I'm going to get absorbed in the contents of the book as I go along. You know, I just know I am. That's pretty good there. Let's see if I can get that. Actually, this probably would have... Actually, this back paper I think is fine. I'm not going to take that off. But this front one, I don't know what happened to this book. It feels like maybe something... It feels warped in certain pages, like something heavy that wasn't really flat had laid on top of it and then got moist and it bubbled the inside of this. Do I dare mess with that and take that off? Because I'm going to end up with this. I say maybe. I'm not saying okay just yet, but I'm saying maybe. I do take it off. What's the worst that can happen? I end up with another page as my page for this. I could do that. Now, maybe let me dump this off just 1 minute. So the beginning of 2026, it's an exciting time, that's for sure. Every year just opens on to another and the wheel keeps turning. That's another one of my projects this year I'm going to be doing, which I'm so excited for, is my phonology wheel. And I've already started doing a few things for that, because since I'm starting it and I want to do it for the whole year, you can't wait till you can't wait to start it. I started it January 1st. And my videos are going to be late going up for that, but I had company over Christmas from the 17th of December till January 2nd. So we've had quite a bit of activity going on in our house and what have you. So, all right. That's pretty good. I don't want it perfect, but I do. Go figure. What does that mean, Jill? I don't know. All right. So what are we going to do with the outside of this? Well, I want part of it to be fabric. I do know that. And I think I have some fabrics out here. And I wanted it to be kind of special. I thought I might like... I have a piece of this. I'm probably scooting off camera. I think I have a piece of this that I could lay on here. I like this edge very much, and I like that ruffle, or the kerfluffle. I like the frayed edge. Yeah, so I think we'll use that somehow. And do I want to use it as the whole piece on the front, or... I have some of this also. This is one of 2 journals that I have on my list for 2026. The other one is going to be a fabric journal with a soft cover. So I thought I would use the variety to show you guys different techniques and methodology. I also have this beautiful white piece here. I don't know what I'm going to do with that yet. I kind of wanted to put this. Hold on. I have this, and this is really old, but you know what? I think this is really old, and for that reason alone, I want to use it on the cover of this book. And there's plenty of pieces here. I can also take the ruffle off if I don't think it applies. It has a couple stains. This has been washed. Can you see the pattern on that? It's a linen of some type, but it's really pretty. And it tears just in your fingers, so I have to be careful with it. But maybe I use some of that for that cover, and then pieces of it. Or, you know, I could do that and put buttons along there. Wouldn't that be cute? That would be kind of cute. And then overlay. I want to use a piece of this ticking somehow as well. So I'll have to see. All right. Let me finish cleaning the book up and put some of these pieces together, and then I'll be back and we'll move on from there. Okay, so I'm working on some of the fabric, so let me show you what I've got in mind, I think, so far. This could change, but I got this cleaned up a bit. Let me show you these fabrics. I love these ruffle edges, so those are definitely going to stay on, and I think I would like this one on the front, on the inside. Now, I know they're not quite wide enough, but that's going to be okay, because I'm going to... And I kind of like that ruffle to go just over, just over the edge, just a little bit. Can you see that? I guess you can't see it over here on this side. Let me move those up a little bit so we don't get that glare. Okay. So then I have this, it's a French, although my report on my book that I'm making this out of is certainly English, US. I thought I would use this for the spine, and I like that. And I can do, I might have to cut another piece for this. It's not quite wide enough. Or I could cut this fabric piece. Anyhow, I think that's going to happen. And then I'll leave that until later and then trim it off so that just to be sure I have enough. I'm also thinking maybe I want this to be a hidden spine. So what does that mean? If I make it a hidden spine, that means my signatures are going to be sewn into this fabric here. Okay, and then this piece, and it will have some chipboard behind it, will get glued into the original spine. Okay, so inside it would look like this. But the outside would maintain, let's see if I can flip this over, not too, dropped it a little bit. Okay, but the outside would maintain the integrity of the original spine. Now, I do think I like that idea. I have some more of this fabric on the inside that I could do for the top and bottom as well. You know, make it a little longer so that that fluffy edge shows up there, but let's just wait and see. So then, because I like that neutral background, and I did like the French fabric, right, which I've got lots of stuff laying around here. This piece, of course, is too big, but I started to think I could, of course, make this edge a little more, keep the raw edge there. Kind of like that idea, and make that raw edge maybe a little bigger. Now this is the front of the book, or the outside of the book. So let me fold this under here. I'm trying to decide whether to keep the whole integrity of the end of this book, which I probably only need a piece about that big if I do it. But I had another idea, so let me continue with it and show you what I'm thinking. I could just collage the whole front, but I thought I might use I think I'm going to put this sideways, actually. I have to talk my way through this because there, and then I have more of a frayed edge. Yeah, maybe that. I'll put this under for a minute out of the way so I don't have to see it. Sometimes when it gets to fabric, I have to, you know, you have to see what it's going to look like, right? I have that, and then I had this French piece, which I cut out, and then I fussy cut the edge of that, and something tells me I like that. But, and let me get that out of the way. And what I'm thinking is, would that provide a nice, lovely transition over the edge of the spine? So now I'm going to just ignore what's underneath this book cover because I'm going to lose it when I pick this up. But then the spine the flower would come over the back of the spine. And I think I might like that if, and this is a big if because I have to go back and look, I have a piece to come over here that has something that, if I have a piece of this that could come over, let's see. Well, let's just pretend this is one of the pieces, and let's say I decided to use this back here. Then maybe I would want a piece of this French fabric. I'm not finding a piece that would... that might go up here, and if I fussy cut it, it would have the flower over there. Let me see if I have a piece. That's not good. That's not good. Try this one. Some of them have a really nice... oh, that's kind of a cool thing. This branch of this flower curls up and goes like that. So what if that was kind of on the spine, but fussy cut around all of that. And then it just overlapped onto the back fabric a little bit. And this would all be cut away. So you would still see the original. That could work, something like that. Or even like, oh, here we go. What about this piece? I thought I wanted to put some ticking on there, but I have to see. You know, I could somehow work this little piece into coming over that spine of the book and exposing the rest of it. I would like to be able to gold leaf or redo the gold of that writing. That would take some, I'd have to see about that if I felt confident in my ability to do some tracing or whatever. But I think I could like that idea. I think, so even if this was over farther, you see how that would look? It would look pretty cool, I think. Or we could go the other route and just cover the whole thing with fabric on the back and not worry about the spine. An invisible spine, remember, if I'm doing an invisible spine, this here will look just like this. It will not have any strings on it. You won't see the binding threads that I sew the signatures in with. So let me see. Yes, so I think if I take one little part of this cover at a time, I think, yes, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this, I think. And I could put that at the bottom. That leaves me more spine there. Yes, I'm going to do that. Now I have quite a bit of spine here to be able to wrap a piece from the back to the front. Oh. have to see, because that piece kind of looks nice, and I could probably work out that those flowers end up being on the back. So I think I'm going to do that. So I have some fussy cutting, some stuff. This is going to be glued on. Let me put this, I have to press that. These are going on the inside. I'm happy with that. With this as the spine. And then I think the book will have some cohesiveness to the look and the feel. And I will just love that. And I thought about putting these in, you know, putting those in like that. In other words, putting this piece of cloth on top of the spine piece, and then putting this one on top as well. But I think I prefer the spine on top of those. So that's what's going to happen there. So I will go away, make that happen, and then be back. This piece will not be attached because that will wait until after my signatures are created and stitched into this piece before I could attach it to this. So I will go away and do those things, and then I will be back in the next video to show you where we're at and where we're going from there. So with that being said, I appreciate you being here today. Thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful day. Do something you love, and until the next time.